All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Second City Saints. Today is Friday, and we got just a few topics here that we kind of want to discuss. First one coming up is Biden and the pressure. Right, yesterday I put out a solo episode saying that I think he's probably going to drop out, and I was thinking it was going to happen today, just simply because of the fact that for him to do it on the weekend just doesn't seem all that. The
Right.
rumors are still there. There's more pressure. It seems like Obama is now starting to put some pressure on him to leave. But I don't know, Steve. Like, what do you think's happening?
I just think it's a lot of making sure that people are paying attention, what's new every day. It seems like every second there's something popping up from both sides. I mean, at the end of the day, who's really paying attention to this stuff? I mean, if you're tuning in to your news of choice, it's like, damn, okay, what's on this channel as opposed to this channel, and then at the end of the day, um, I mean, we're paying attention to a guy who's from the Tales of the Crypt.
Yeah,
I mean, we're counting on what are we counting on his last days? I mean, the guy has COVID. He's up in his recovery home wherever that's at. I don't know. You tell me, but I mean, I'm not paying attention to I'm not counting the seconds as to whether he's going to drop out or not. If that's even going to happen, I don't know. I mean, you have Kamala Harris that there's conversations there happening. You got Pelosi who's chiming in privately. You got Barack Obama who is giving advice behind closed doors to Biden. I mean, all of these key figures, and it's just like, for me, it's like, what's really going on? And again, it goes back to what are the news outlets actually reporting real facts? I don't know. And for me to, I mean, it's every single second of the day. It's like someone said this maybe and signaling this way, and it's just for me. I mean, I'm more worried about 22 tornadoes touching down in Chicago on Monday and losing power and going through the motions there. But for me to worry about an 80-year-old man, whether he's going to keep going or not, I mean, it's on him. It just seems
yeah,
like if you read deeper into some of these articles, it's always going to say, um, you know, uh, it doesn't look good in the polls. It doesn't look good as the polls are widening with Trump's lead over Biden in key states, which is important. So, but what are you going to do? You're so deep into the year. We're what 4 months away from a national election, and
yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter who you put in there. You could put Harris. You can put Obama's wife, Michelle. It's not going. It doesn't matter at this point. So it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. Because at the end of the day, it's going to go back to that independent vote. Where are those independent votes going? Because you're looking at a double digit percentage with those independent votes, and which way are they going to go? Are they going to go the way of Democrat, or are they going to go the way of Republican? Those are
yeah,
my thoughts, anyways.
yeah. I mean, I was hoping that something would finally get settled in, or at least done by this weekend, right? Because I'm not just looking at it as just like what's happening with him by himself. Like these are moments that have never happened before in the country. So it's kind of exciting at the same time
Yeah.
to see this kind of stuff, right? Because and it's basically like watching a car crash, right? Like you're hoping you don't want to see something, but
Right.
at the same time you're human, so you're like watching because out of curiosity you want to see what actually transpired.
Right.
Now, in this case, it's like any like the type of turmoil that's going on right now isn't good overall for the country, but at the same time I kind of want to see how things progress because um it's like I was saying I believe it was yesterday where this is a spot that the Democrats put themselves into, right? Like they're
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
trying to get out of that corner, dig themselves out of that hole. They're just trying to do whatever they can, and it's like I'll like a part of me wants to say that like at this point, it's probably over for them, right? And not so much because of everything that's happening now. I mean, the past few years, I mean, the under this administration, it's just garbage. Um, but you never want to count out I would say, I don't know if it's indoctrination of the gullible, but
Oh
there's
yeah,
still a huge amount of people that are going to vote to that side, regardless of how crappy things
right,
are, simply because of ideology, right?
right.
Which
There's
is
a lot.
ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into whether it's blue or red. I think you
Yeah,
go back to states, and just remember, it's an electoral college. We're not looking at popular vote, so and that's always a key thing, and that's something that was in conversation to abolish the electoral college. I remember back in 2000, conversations coming up that it's an antique way of bringing about democracy to the United States. Should we go to a popular vote? Should we not? Should we stick with the electoral college? That was a
yeah,
conversation back then. So you look at California, Illinois, New York as always, the anchors to the Democratic States Party or whatever it may be. So then you have Florida, Texas, and some other key states that are there for the Republicans, and that will always vote that way. Then you look at the swing states. Then you look at Ohio. That's why it was so key. To touch on Vance. I mean, I called that like 3 or 4 months ago, and I'm not Republican by
yeah,
any means, but I could just tell you, dude, if you're the Republicans, you want to secure Ohio. It doesn't
yeah,
even need to be a conversation at that point. So then you're looking at Pennsylvania, and then you're looking at Michigan, you're looking at potentially Wisconsin, and then of course Georgia. If you lock those up, forget about it. And that's what it's going to come down to. Those states, you could pretty much write off all the big Democrat states and the big Republican states. It's just going to be a matter of where those dollars, those big donors are going to, where you're going to want to invest that money and campaign money and spend the most time.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if Biden steps down, it's better to do it now, dude. Save yourself the energy. But I mean, that doesn't seem to be like it's not in his head, and he has to be the one to step down. It's like
yeah.
either he dies or he's not going anywhere. Because I don't think you're going to be able to tell him at this point to step down. I mean, anybody can tell you that the polls don't look good. You're not healthy, but it's his decision at the end. He's still the president till November, and then through
Yeah.
whenever the new president comes in. But I think it's just a lot of noise, man. I've been through a lot of this crap before, and dude, I can't. I mean, it's an election year. We haven't even seen. Just wait to the DNC. You're gonna see craziness happen in Chicago. I guarantee it. And then we'll
Yeah,
see what happens from there.
I'm definitely excited for that part, just to see what's going to happen there, right? I mean, like
You
we
don't
talked
live
about.
here. You don't
Yeah, I
live
don't
four
live
blocks
there,
away.
but it's like I'm pretty excited just to see what's going to transpire, what's going to happen. But
Right.
as far as like the whole Biden situation and not wanting to drop out, like I get it from his point of view, in the sense that, right, your
Yeah.
ego, you don't want to go down,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, well, is your ego that big that you're willing to
Yeah.
bring the party down
Yeah.
for 4 years, right? And that's really what it
You're
comes
right.
down to. Um, the like I was reading an article today where they were saying, well, it looks like, or it seems there's a rumor that they might start putting more pressure on him in a difficult manner, where they were like saying basically, the rumor is that they might tell him, hey, look, well, either you drop out, or we're not really going to protect Hunter Biden anymore, right? So there are still some things where they could twist, but then the article, I wish I had it because I had it earlier. Um,
Sure.
could Was mentioning how, well, then he could just start throwing out secrets and then burn the entire thing down. And I was like, man, if that
Right.
happens, that would be amazing, because it's like a movie, and it would be happening for everyone to see. But the bad side, right? It's like it's happening on the world stage. You're supposed to, we're supposed to be the leader of the free world, like as far as
Mhm.
like all the countries, and then now you're showing this kind of disorganization, chaos, uh, you know,
Right.
your self-inflicting wounds, right?
Right.
So there's a positive, and there's pros and cons to everything. That's why, like, it bothers me when people from one side are so happy when something happens on the other side, and it's like, well, you're not thinking further down the line.
Right.
You're having your little moment of joy now, but you don't see the
Right.
repercussions and the consequences that may happen later on, right? So to me, like, for example, this whole crap of them going after Trump over and over and over again. And it's like, bro, like that's just now. I mean, who knows how things are going to be 20 years from now? You're not going to
Right.
be clapping if the roles are reversed and they're
Right.
constantly going after Democrats. At that point, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be like, oh, yes, this is fantastic, and tweeting all this crap, right? So that's that's how my thought process is because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, people say, oh, well, you got to be the bigger side. Look, man, at some point, everybody has their limits. And at some point, it's an old term, but at some point, you're gonna have to put your pimp hand down, and that's it, right? Like you're gonna have to show that
Yeah.
that's it. We're not gonna take it anymore, and then that's where it's the back and forth, and
Right.
things continue to escalate, right?
Right.
So
I think
we'll
it'll.
see
I
what
think it'll for
happens.
sure. I think it'll for sure carry into next weekend. I think it's this, dude. This is like one of the biggest decisions in history. If it does happen, if something
Yeah,
like this happens and he steps down, it'd be in the history books for sure. Like
yeah,
you can't ask for a president to step down and it not to be one of the biggest moments of ever. Because then what happens? So if he steps aside, then you have a VP that steps in. I'm not sure if Bush Senior, if something like that happened with him, where he had to step in, or who was it? I'd have to look into it, but for a VP to step in while a current
hmm
president is still alive, I mean, yeah, he's old as hell, but I mean, I don't see it. And if it does, if he doesn't step down this weekend, it's just going to carry into the next weekend, and it's going to carry into the next weekend, and it's going to carry into the next weekend, and then by the time that hope, maybe it will be November. And if it's a
yeah,
landslide, it's a landslide. At the end of the day, you got to vote. If you don't vote, then like I was reading a bunch of things. How are you going to put out an article piece on someone? Even if it's you're watching Trump and you're a Democrat, how are you going to put up an article piece and then in the article piece say, I have no intention of voting? What the fuck? Like, dude, how are
yeah.
you going to give an opinion if at the end of the day, when it's the finish line or if it's the race is going, you don't even put a vote in, but you have an opinion? Like, dude, I just stopped reading it. I'm like, dude, why would I read this crap?
Yeah,
Like, you're
yeah.
just
I
there
mean,
to put a fluff piece in.
and that's why like things of that nature is the reason why when you were talking about earlier about how there was that discussion of getting rid of the electoral college,
Yeah.
it, and this is definitely a side topic that we're gonna have for another day because that
Hmm.
one I always found interesting, and I'm all for it, right? I'm all for eliminating the electoral college with the um, with the stipulation that if you vote, you have to pass a test, a civics
Right.
test, or you have to serve one or the other,
Right.
right? So you have to prove that you're mentally prepared and capable of taking such a drastic step because
Right.
it's a disaster to just say, well, okay, we're gonna eliminate, and then you have the crap that we have now, which is basically MTV. Oh yeah, go out and vote, but they're not really saying go out and vote. They're basically saying go out and vote Democrat, right? And
Yeah.
or like for example, I lived in the Dominican Republic, right? Oh yeah, go out and vote, but then these the political parties are throwing out these huge parties, throwing out beer and food, right? So they're buying votes from
Buying votes.
people that are that are extremely ignorant to the
Right.
situation, right? And that's why and I'll end it here. Otherwise, I'll go for miles. But
We'll
this is
keep going
why
on this.
there's huge problems in South America because you have all these people who have very little to no education, but they feed them this crap because it's the easy way to do things, right? And it's
Right.
like no, if you instill a basic level of test of understanding, right? So not just a basic level of understanding, but you have to have an ID because god dang it, you're an adult. If you're 18 and you don't have an ID, then you don't deserve to vote because you obviously don't care enough to act like a civilized human being,
Right.
right? So just little things like that I would weed out the lazy, the I hate to use the term stupid, right? But the ignorant, I guess, right? Because I know people think ignorant is a bad word, but ignorant really means you just don't know the subject, right?
You don't care to
Uh,
know either.
right. You don't care to know, like, but if you could eliminate those individuals, I would feel much better. And then, okay, one person, one vote, because we're gonna weed all those others out. But uh, I mean, we would have to find systems to kind of like make sure, right? Because then there's always like there's always going to be someone that's going to try and scam the system just to win for their side, and
100%.
that's what we would have to do.
You
But
gotta
anyways,
do it.
yeah, that one I'm going to leave it for something else.
So what do you think? Biden steps on this weekend or no?
Man, well, I did think about that he was going to step down, but the fact that he just put out a memo saying that he's not and he's going to continue to fight it through, yeah, it's definitely not going to happen this weekend. Had he not put that, I think, yeah, he's probably leaving. But with that memo, with Kamala Harris, on an article reading on call saying that, yeah, we're going to win. AOC, for some reason, is also wanting to protect Biden. Well, because she, I would say, I would assume she would be on the side that wants to get rid of him, right? So if she's also trying to like protect him, at this point, like I said, the Democrats are a mess. They're a total mess now.
It is a mess.
And the only way,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that the only way that honestly they can fix that party right now is take the L, right? Take the L this time. And like you said, with whatever the situation is, bro, it's a Band-Aid. Just rip it off. That's it. It's over. Just look 4 years down the line and start preparing for that, right? So rip the Band-Aid off and break away from the progressives, because that is what's causing people to switch to the other side. And I mean, look, I think if anything, the Democrats, right, the moderate Democrats need to start pushing forward the idea of we need to stop the two-party system, right? So you have the progressives, you have the center left, you have the center right, then you have the far right. And that's it. And like you have four systems, right? So as long as they push the crazies out of the left, between the center right and the center left, we could get a lot more done in this country, right?
No doubt.
And leave the two extremes out there. And that's how I think they could kind of like fix their things. But
no doubt.
Yeah, man. I don't know. What
agree,
are your thoughts?
100%. And 100%, like, dude, 2019, 2000, I don't know what the hell happened. Like, I felt like the country got held hostage, and it was like, what do you mean you're questioning me about anything? Like, cancel culture? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't want to go there no more. I kind of feel like we're going away from that. I feel like we're kind of curbing. I don't think we need to get, like, we canceled so many sports teams. Like, what the hell? Like, these sports teams have been around 100 years, 80 years, 70 years, 60 years. And you come in, oh, well, and that goes back to the university system. What's being taught in our colleges and our universities, and are really, these kids have made it into corporations and really sponsoring. And it goes like deep, because that's how CEOs get paid, based on a grading system, whether they can earn their millions of dollars based on what kind of culture or how their company is perceived. And at the end of the day, the bottom line. But man, it's just, that's another conversation for another day. But the cancel culture, we can never go there ever again. I'm sorry. Can't happen.
Yeah,
that's what the Democrats need to get away from, for sure.
Well, I think that age is done for, right? In the sense of that the shift, right? Because if you start paying attention to what happened in the media, it really started happening about a year ago, maybe slightly less, where the quote unquote cancel culture was no longer working to the right. People were saying, well, screw it, I ain't gonna apologize, I'm not gonna do this. And then all of a sudden nothing started happening. But what's happening now is, if you look, who's the one that's now the cancel culture affecting? It's the left, right? So you have all these people that were pro-Hamas. All of a sudden, that's where we really saw it hit the left, was when those guys started causing all the issues. And then the company said, well, we're not going to hire you guys, right? And so then now, what happened this past weekend? You got all these people, oh, they shouldn't have missed Trump. And people started getting fired, right? So the cancel culture is now affecting them. And now they're the ones trying to play the game of, well, if you're all for free, no, I'm sorry. If you try to slit my throat, I'm not going to protect you when they slit your throat, right? And it's kind of a gruesome example there, but I mean, I just wanted to like get the point,
extreme.
right? Yeah, it was a bit much, right? But the point the point being is that if you're trying to take away my rights, you're not gonna use the force on me to then use my integrity to say, well, my belief in this is 100% to then protect you. So then you again can turn around and try and take away my rights. No, that's not going to happen, right? I'm going to let you take the L. You're going to take the fall. You're going to feel the pain. You're going to understand what we've been telling you about. And then once you realize that, your tune should change. And then at that point, we can then work together and progress and see that, hey, you're right. Maybe we shouldn't have cancel culture. Maybe we shouldn't be doing these things together, right? Because sometimes, unfortunately, some people have to, they got to take a blow. They got to feel the pain for them to realize what others
Right.
are going to tell them, right? So, I mean, I know that has nothing to do with the whole Biden stuff, and we kind of like sidestep a bit there,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
um, I guess now we can kind of like switch around over to the
You woke
man,
up
the
this
blue screen
morning.
of death. Oh my god, I thought those days were long gone when I stopped working for Best Buy and fixing computers and whatnot.
Yeah,
Like, what
I've
was
seen
that
that a
about?
couple of times before, but I woke up and I look at my phone and dude, I thought there was a nuclear strike. I
Hmm.
thought there was something bigger. It just ended up being CrowdStrike is as in I feel like they're a little bit like at loss here, but I mean it is what it is. If you don't if and for whatever reason my laptop didn't experience it, but I saw all the updates and then everybody on my teams
Hmm.
or my team with Paylocity, they said we got locked out. Now whether they did or they didn't, I don't
Yeah,
know. You could say I was laughing because I was like, dude, if I was an honest guy, I would have been like, just copy and paste the same picture and just say, hey,
yeah,
I'm locked out. I don't know what to do, guys. I'm gonna just call it a day and we'll come back with it on Monday.
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people got locked out and it was a big deal. Airports, you name it. We were kind of back to the 80s at that point for a minute.
Well, for everyone who was using Windows, us Mac users,
You
oh
Mac.
man, I was just clicking all day. I was like, what? Nothing, whatever. Yeah, because like when I saw what was going down, I'm like, um, thinking at first, oh, it's got to be some sort of like virus or malware that's going
Ugh,
on, and then all of a sudden you see about CrowdStrike, and then they're like,
right.
oh, it's a bug. I would hate to be the guy that wrote that piece of code that caused that freaking thing,
Oh my god.
but even more so for all the people, especially the last guy that approved and said, you know what, we're good to go. Just let's go, send it out there, right? Without testing it. That guy, I would
Right.
hate to be him,
Right.
right? Like that poor guy is probably still sweating today, hoping
Oh
that
yeah.
he's got a job for tomorrow. But again, it's easy for us to say, hey, yeah, whatever. It's just a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake. Yeah, but that
Yeah.
mistake caused like huge issues in airports, in
Yeah.
hospitals.
Who knows what
Um,
happened during that time though? That's what I always
yeah,
say is like when a system is down or systems are down,
yeah,
what so number one, what caused it? I'm sure the reason is out there. I have yet to take the chance to actually read what the issue was. But
hmm,
what the reality is, there was a lot of people locked out of their Windows laptops, and then what? So, I mean, millions. I can imagine millions of dollars went to waste somewhere or
yeah,
loss. Especially cloud-based systems. You talk about anything. Just getting into a computer. Imagine if you didn't have access to your computer for at least 6 or 7 hours, and then what?
yeah.
Businesses need to report. They need to take transactions in and out. Um, but yeah, I mean, our system was down for a couple, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and then it was back up for the client side. For the actual employees working for the company, we were down till like around 1 or 2, I want to say. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, from a cloud based idea, I mean, if you don't have access, and it was more than just logging into a laptop, into a
Yeah,
Windows laptop, it was everything that goes along with it. So even if you did eventually get into your laptop, then what did you have the ability to get access to at that
sure.
point? It wasn't much.
Right, right.
So it definitely exposed. I mean, I'm sure other nations were like laughing at the United States because we're so dependent on being connected with our, whether it's our phones or whether if it's any type of Windows based concept. I mean, and I was even thinking, I'm like, is something else going to happen during this time? Because it would have been perfect timing if
Yeah.
something did happen. So good thing nothing happened during that time, and then it was just a matter of okay, we're back up and running.
Well, I was surprised there wasn't anything on the news like with the Democrats blaming Trump and the Russians. Like, this is Trump.
Or China,
Yeah, this is
Russia,
like, yeah, this is Trump and his Russian partners. We got the dossier again, and they did it. Or like the Republicans saying, you know what, Joe Biden is bringing the country down with us. He put his hackers out there because if he's going down, everybody's going down with him, right? Like,
everybody's going
yeah.
down.
So I was like amazed that neither side came up with something to blame the
Yeah,
other,
I'm
right?
sure eventually it's out there. You just got to dig for it a little bit, but
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
telling you that the dude that pressed that button, they're gonna find out whether he votes Republican or Democrat and say, you
right.
see, he did it to affect what's going on. Because
It,
that's
it was it was
unfortunately
a
that's
it was a change in the topic,
yeah.
going from a president that has COVID and is potentially going to step down, or President Trump is having his RNC with the Hulk Hogan, and
I
then everything along with that. Now let's just focus on not having a computer for a day, laptop for a
yeah.
day.
Well, now that you mentioned Hulk Hogan, I guess we could switch over to our third topic, right? Which is the
Yeah.
RNC. I didn't really watch it other than last night, right? Last night
Yeah.
was the only thing I watched because I wanted to hear what Trump said. But my dad's like, Hulk Hogan is here. I'm like, what? I'm like in my room, and all of a sudden he's like, Hulk Hogan.
Right.
I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, he's
Right.
there. And I didn't believe him until later on during the speech. Trump
Yeah.
called out Hulk Hogan, and I'm
Oh.
like, oh my god, he actually is there. So I thought he
Yeah.
was just playing around. And then now I did see that was it yes? I mean, I did see that Amber Rose was talking,
Okay.
and
Yeah. I heard about
I was
that.
like, what is she doing there,
Right.
right? Like I that threw me off completely. But again, I wasn't really paying attention simply because I was just
Right.
waiting for his speech. I really didn't care about the others. I did see Kid Rock's performance and a whole
Okay.
bunch of people with no rhythm trying to bob their heads up and down to his music, right?
Right. Right. Oh yeah.
But Kid Rock, hey, Kid Rock's looking good, right? I saw pictures
Oh yeah.
the last time of him on a beach, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that guy's enjoying life a bit too much, man. You need to start hitting
Yeah.
that gym. But yesterday he looked okay. And then who else was there? I don't know. There was some band that I had no idea that was like singing
Sure.
some song there. But then other than
Sure.
that, it was the speech, right? I
Yeah.
think the speech started out good, right? It started out
Hmm.
kind of slow. Trump didn't seem his usual self that first 15 minutes, 10, 15
Okay.
minutes. I'm like, dude, the guy looks kind of depressed, dude. But it's understandable because they almost try and take him out,
Kill
right?
him, dude. He
Yeah.
almost died.
So like I totally understand that he wasn't all there. Um, I wasn't a huge fan. Like I like that they had the the firefighter suit,
Okay.
for the person, but I didn't really like when he kissed the helmet. I was like, yeah, I mean that's a bit too much for me, man. You could have
Yeah.
just like I could have done without that. I think you're hamming
Right.
it up too much out of a tragedy that occurred.
Right. Right.
But other than that, once he started rambling about about the deportation. Now, I will say when he said this is the sign
Oh
that I didn't
God.
get to see it, and if it wasn't for this sign when I turned, I wouldn't be. And it's true, right? So
Yeah. No doubt.
that joke actually made me laugh. But then he started talking about like deporting everyone, and then there's signs of like deport people now. And at first, I was like a little bit conflicted. I'm like, well, okay, like what's going on here, right? Uh, but then, I mean,
Right.
it makes sense. It makes sense, right? You can't you can't claim to be a nation of laws and then not have the first law that people break coming into the country, or their first act of coming into the country being a broken law, right?
Right.
Um, so I mean, I know I got a lot more to tell because I have experiences in the past through
Sure.
because of the immigration process. So I'm going to let you go first, and I want to hear your thoughts about what the speech was about.
Well, I number one, I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I'll have to take a minute to actually, because I will. I'll watch it tonight, and maybe I can give you a little bit more insight. But I can talk on a mass deportation concept. So like, here living in Chicago, probably I've seen it the most because
Hmm.
in California, it's a mixed population. So you have South Americans, yeah, uh, all the way down. So it's not just Mexicans. It's a lot of South Americans coming up and then coming into California. So I kind of saw that, but it wasn't as obvious. But coming here to Chicago back home, especially in
Yeah,
these past few years, so you got buses coming in, and actually Abbott just said again, we're going to start sending more buses in preparation for the DNC, so that you have so that
yeah. We
they'll
want to
be
make
here for
sure
that.
that you guys have plenty of people on the streets.
so but these past couple months, dude, I live right down the block from a police station,
Hmm.
where that was the housing outside of the police station, and up until or into the this past winter, they were sleeping outside of the police station in
Yeah,
tents. Barbers on site, you name it,
yeah,
dentists. Dude, it was crazy, that was one spot of many across the city of Chicago. Now, it wasn't good, like for you to see some of these people freezing outside,
yeah,
and that means that we're at capacity. If you have people living in the street in tents, you've done your best as a city while you committed to be a safe harbor. There's limits to that idea. Like,
yeah,
you can't expect to take 20,000, 25,000 people and look to put them somewhere where there's heat, or whether there's air conditioning, or whether there's just a safe place to put your head down. You can't
yeah,
do it. It's not feasible. So the idea that just on that alone, okay, from a humane standpoint, but now you have 25,000 just in the city of Chicago. Just like, what do you do with these people? Like, how do you make sure that our citizens, and a lot of people started to grow angst, especially some of the different part. Well, I'll just say different parts. I don't want it to go into a race thing, but
sure,
where different parts of Chicago were just like, what about us? What about citizens? Are you taking care of us? Are you protecting us? Are you giving us tools and resources to thrive? And so you have different parts of the city chiming in, like Chicago Public Schools. You have small businesses. You have
hmm,
different arms of the city that are just like, we need help. Why are you helping them when we don't even have the resources to get through a fiscal year, or get through the day to day? So
yeah,
there was a lot of resentment built, and then you started to see some of the crime come as a result of people just standing around, people without housing. Because what do you think they're going to do? What do you think immigrants are going to do if they don't
sure,
have support? They're going to do whatever they feel to put food on their tables and go about it, but go
yeah,
about their day and their lives. But at the same time, it's like mass deportation. Like, how are you going to do that? Because what are you going to are you going to declare some type of martial law, or like what? I mean, you can't. I mean, each state is its own governing body in a
sure,
sense. Are you going to send feds and ICE? I mean, I don't think you can do that state to state.
yeah,
It's just so hard. You would have, and now, I mean, with the whole idea, and I don't know how much of it is going to be legal or not, where the president can do whatever he wants to do, and I mean, not be held accountable for it. I mean, maybe that's where you're going to go with it, but it's very hairy to think that you could just say mass deportations. I think that you would go back to the one strike, two strike, you're out. Bye.
yeah,
You're on a plane and out of here. But
yeah,
like, how would you even like round people up to get people a mass deportation concept? I don't think
sure.
it's feasible in all states. It would be
So
chaos.
yeah, I mean, all right. So I guess here's where I mean I have an idea of how you can, I guess, self cause people to self deport, right?
Okay.
But I mean that I for some reason, like it's gonna take a long time, right? So I'm gonna
Right.
try. We'll talk about that. I guess we could kind of have that like
Self-deport. I'm curious.
right. And a there's nothing cruel. B we would use our influence, right, our power
Right.
to force these things. C, you would do it on a federal level, right? Because
Right.
then you can pass these laws. So if the states wanted to do it, well, guess what? At that point, you're just hanging yourself because then, right? So this is part of. I'll give you a little tip of what I'm thinking, right? So like, say you said, hey, yeah, can you make the states do it? Well, again, you pass the laws from a federal level. You're gonna do this, 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 and if a state says, well, we're not gonna do this, great. You're not gonna get any additional federal funding,
Right.
right?
You
That's
don't
it.
have to.
That's it. You're not. So we're gonna give you what you usually get, and at that point, we don't want to hear a single word until you start implementing what we've put in there. If you don't want to, and if you don't do it, right? Because if we do it on a federal level and the Supreme Court doesn't overturn it, because then at that point they could kind of like take it to the Supreme Court and all
To
that stuff.
freeze
And
it
if
up.
you
Yeah.
right to like hold things back, but if you don't, then at that point there has to be some sort of like consequence, right? And that's another topic as well. But anyways, yeah, I'm just thinking at a federal level, hold money, and then you implement things of well, like yeah, and we'll talk about that another time because if not, I'm just gonna go off because I
Yeah. Right.
have thought of this before, right? Because I like my thing is if there's a problem, I like to think of solutions. So some days I'll just think about it and be like, oh yeah, well, I guess I could make that work if I was in charge, right? But
Right.
anyways, as far as like his speech is concerned about the deportations and all that stuff, um, I mean, uh, other than the logistics, it's fair, right? It's a fair thing, right? Because you don't want people coming in. You have the immigration process is a difficult thing. All right, so I'm going to tell you from my personal experience. When I
Yeah. Tell
lived in
me.
the Dominican Republic, I had many friends that wanted to come here, right?
Right.
I had family members that wanted to just come and visit, not live. They just wanted to come and visit. And
Right.
one of my uncles died before he could ever visit here. And this is somebody who was a dentist. He was
Right.
making a lot of money over there in South America. He just wanted to come here to go to Disney World, and they wouldn't let him in. Right,
Mm.
even though he had his businesses over there, his
Right.
my cousins, and from my
He
understanding, my
couldn't get a
cousin from
visa.
him, right, he couldn't get a visa. When I lived in the Dominican Republic, I had friends that wanted to come here. They wouldn't let them in, even though they came from families that were uh, pretty well to do. These are people that I went to university with, right? So these were dental students, right? Or medical students, whatever. So these are people with an education that speak English, right? They speak really good English because that they all went to private school and they
Right.
still couldn't come in. That they would end up going to Europe, right? So how is it fair to them? These are people that can offer a lot more to this country, and
Right.
yet our immigration process does not allow them to come, even to visit, and yet we're letting people who can barely read just come over, can come in, quote unquote, claim asylum because the whole thing of asylum is that you're fleeing from persecution, right? And let's be real, the majority of the people coming here are not fleeing political persecution. They're just here because they just want a better life, which is understandable. But unfortunately, in the real world, we can't do that, right? Because I
Right.
actually pulled it up while you were talking, and it's basically almost 25% of the world is in poverty, right?
Right.
Extreme poverty, right? So we're talking about 1.75 billion people. We don't have enough room here to take 1.75 billion
No.
people. So when an idiot like Biden says, hey, if you're poor, just come on over, you're sending that message to that 1.75 billion. And what do you expect? The other 300 million to take care of that 100 right? It
Not
doesn't
gonna
make any
happen.
sense. It makes no logical sense. So that's why,
Right.
to me, uh, it's only fair that if you're here illegally, you need to leave, right? Again, when I got married, my ex-wife was here legally. Then we got married, and it was not an easy. I mean, it was kind of an easy process because obviously I was making good money. I had my degree. I was working at that time with already. No, I wasn't even at AT&T, but I mean, I had all this money. I have this money
Right.
saved up in the bank, right? So it showed that I could take care of her and all this stuff. Um, but it wasn't an easy process because we had to go for the interview, and then we had to go for like I don't know what else, and then we had to like compound everything that we've been together to show that it
Right.
wasn't a scam, right? So it's not a quick thing. It's not like something that they just give it to you, but at the same time, it's like, well, it, for us it was easy compared to what I know others have experienced, and so if I was like say at a level 3, I know there's people that are facing level 10, but then there are people that don't even have to face any of that stuff. They just come on in because through her, she had friends that would come
Right.
here to study and they would claim asylum. And it's like, yeah, I don't think if you're coming from Russia, and this is 10 years ago, right? I don't
Right.
think if you're coming from Russia and where nothing's going on, and you're the daughter of like some rich magnate over there, right? And you guys are buying apartments over here. There's no political persecution of you because otherwise your family would be
No.
here, and they're not, right? But that's
Right.
what they would pull to kind of stay here. Um, so now imagine all these people with nothing, no papers. They come here, and then all of a sudden we tell them, "Oh yeah, just show up to court." Well, at that point, they're never going to leave, right? Because there's a huge number that don't show up to court. But yeah, it's like I understand when people say, "Hey, uh, we should help the people that want to come here." No, because realistically, you can't do that. All you have to do is think about it on a micro level, your own home, right? That's why I love analogies, right?
Right.
It's your own home. If your house only has 3 bedrooms, but then any freaking person off the street decides to come in, and then there's
Right.
one coming in, let's say every other week, how long are you going to be in that home before all of a sudden that home is not going to feel like a home anymore because you have, and then not only are those strangers coming in, but you got to take care of them now
Right.
until if,
They're your
if,
responsibility.
right, they're your responsibility until if they decide to get up and go. Because sure, there's going to be some people that are going to want to go there and they're going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to work. I want my own home. But guess what?
Right.
That's not how the world works. Not everybody does that. Some people are going to
Not at
say,
all.
you know what? This dude has a PlayStation 5 and he always has snacks in the fridge. You know what? I'm
Right.
just going to sit on the couch all dang day.
I must
I'm going
stay
to have
here.
my girlfriend here. And then, yeah, she's pregnant now. I might want another kid later, but it's good here. Why am I going to leave? Right. And so that's the problem that people don't think about. They think about wanting to pat themselves on the back that they're a good person, but they don't see the logistics and the difficulty of having such a system and then not having a way to curtail it, right? You got to have levels, and
Right.
um like I
It's
said,
checks and
well,
balances, man.
yeah,
It's checks
yeah,
and balances. It's common sense. I mean, at the end of
well,
the day, it's like they're here, now what? It's like you let all these people in, now
yeah.
what? And it's
Well, like
just
I said, we'll have a talk. I guess we could do it next week, right? We'll have a
I'm
talk,
down.
but I already know how we could get rid of it. Now, whether it's feasible or not, how quick it
Right.
is, right? I'm sure it would get tied up in a court, but yeah, I have an idea of how we could pretty much do it, like super fast, man. Like
Right.
people would leave because um, I don't think. Here's the thing, like we were talking about earlier about how some people need pain to learn, right?
Right.
So you don't have to physically hurt people, but if you hurt them economically, right? If you hurt their
Right.
pockets, then that's when they're gonna change, right? So my thing is, if you have businesses and they're hire and they're hiring, people that are illegal, I get it. There's already
Right.
rules on there that they shouldn't do that, but uh, if there's a way that we force everybody on a federal level to say, hey, when you hire someone, you now have to run this, right?
Right.
And when it runs this check, it's going to make sure that you're here legally. And if you cause fraud, you're going to cause problem to not only right if it shows up as fraud, then the company immediately needs to tell the federal government, right? Um, so I mean, just little things like that. I have more other things because again, everyone's gonna
Yeah.
say, "Oh, well, what about this?" Trust me, I've thought a lot, and I'm sure there's other things. But if when we have the conversation, uh, whatever questions you come up with, I will then say, okay, give me about a week or so, and I will find a
Right.
way to stop that loophole, right? Because it's all about loopholes. But anyways, man, I guess we went on a little bit too much on that. I now since this is our first episode on a Friday, we wanted to do a little bit different, something a little bit different than all the other ones that tend to talk about problems in politics and occurrences on the news. And that's we always wanted to end our Fridays talking about a topic that has nothing to do with anything serious, right? It's just something where we could just shoot something into the wind, see if it sticks, and if it works, great. And if not, then I guess we'll find something else. But I mean, you wanted to talk about Lollapalooza and the people that are there. I'll let you take the lead because
Right.
honestly, I saw the list,
Were you
and
impressed?
I don't know half the people that are on that list anymore because I don't listen to Megan Thee Stallion and all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, that's when I realized I am now in the old section, right? Like I don't care. I don't care about these people. Who are these people? They're useless to me because they're not helping me make money. So I don't care about them. But I guess go ahead and talk about Lollapalooza that's coming
So
up next month.
number one, it's going down first weekend in August. So that's when it's all going down, dude. I've never been to Lollapalooza ever. I've been by it,
Mm-hmm.
which too many people for my liking. But the thing that really caught my eye is like, dude, Taylor Swift ticket. You could watch 170 plus artists for the cost of maybe one, maybe two Taylor Swift tickets here in the United States. That's crazy. That's nuts. So, but yeah, I'm looking at the lineup
How
here,
much are Taylor
and
Swift tickets then?
dude, they went. So first of all, we got a Ticketmaster problem because if you're charging a couple thousand for one Taylor Swift ticket,
Mm,
that's price gouging, number one. And I think Ticketmaster kind of tried to do something with that, but couldn't.
yeah.
It's too much. Whatever. People were flying to Europe, visiting Europe and seeing Taylor Swift for cheaper it is than
Are you
seeing
serious?
Taylor Swift here in the nights. Oh, for sure, no doubt. Dude, that was a big deal when Taylor Swift came to Chicago for
Bro,
like that whole weekend.
if it was me, I would just fly to Europe, save the concert
Hell
ticket,
yeah.
and have a
Oh yeah,
better time in
no
Europe.
doubt.
But that's just me.
But yeah, I see the Killers, okay. Blink
Okay,
182.
okay.
I mean, that's more my speed, but then you have like okay, Skrillex. I mean, if you're into that type of music,
So I
Zed's
am,
Dead,
but
Galantis.
I'm not a huge fan of Skrillex because it's a little bit too hard for like hardcore type. Like I'm more into the trance and techno stuff.
No, yeah.
Who
Oh,
else
no
is
doubt.
here?
So yeah, but SZA is a pretty big artist. She'll be there. So that's one of their headliners actually. Um but yeah, Megan the Stallion. I just heard of her, but I'm pretty sure she's been around for a minute. But she's headlining. Okay. All right, I guess. But I thought that I thought we were going to see a little bit more. I'm kind of disappointed a little bit at this lineup, but you won't find me there, but maybe I'll pass by. Similar to how the NASCAR was this what 2 weekends ago. I mean, you could easily go down to the lakefront, listen to the music while you're on the lakefront, but you'll never find me in any of that. I went 1 year to Spring Awakening, and that was it. After that, I can't be in big crowds. That was
Uh
at
huh.
Soldier Field that time, but Lollapalooza, hey, if it's not, then good luck. It's a mudslide. Yeah, that's what I got to say on that.
Yeah, man. Like, so here's the thing. I remember Lollapalooza even way back when I was in Miami, right? And I definitely wanted to go to Lollapalooza then, but I was 16 and my car was not gonna make it from Miami to Chicago because I had an old ass Chevy Cavalier that like would just suck up oil like crazy. I mean, it was a perfect car for high school because it let me and my girlfriend go wherever we wanted. But
Right.
damn it, the AC barely worked. It was a hatchback, so no air would come in. So I felt sorry for that girl because she was always sweating in that car. So was I. But anyways, yeah, Lollapalooza back in '94. Man, you've got let's see here. Who did they have? They had the Beastie Boys. You had
That's
George
what I'm saying.
Clinton.
Yep.
Okay, you had Green Day. I mean, you had like these huge bands. Maybe these guys that are here now are huge. I don't know because I don't listen to them. Like, yeah, the ones that you
but
mentioned.
you would know. You would still know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the music was good enough, yeah, because I still listen to. It's not like I only listen to things that I was like back in high school and college. I definitely still listen to like today's music. It's just
Right.
a lot of today's music blows. It blows big time, right? So
Right.
they have good beats, but if I don't understand what you're saying or if your lyrics are
Right.
stupid, then you kind of lost me there already. What do you have?
My thing is like look at
that Smashing Pumpkins, 9 Inch Nails, bro. Like these are like the cream of the crop. Like Lollapalooza has gone down, bro.
Yeah, but look at so Thursday. Let me just review the headliner for Thursday. Megan Thee Stallion and Hozier. I don't even know who Hozier is. Never heard of him. Friday is SZA. I've heard of her. Who are the Stray Kids? What the hell?
I don't know. Just their name alone is reason enough for me not to listen to them. But let's look them up. Let's see.
Yeah, Stray Kids. I don't know if they've ever hit the. Now someone's gonna say, "Oh yeah, they're in the top 50."
So it's like K-pop. Okay, yup, I'll pass.
And then Saturday, when was the last time the Killers came out with a hit?
Oh man, it's been a while. I mean, they're awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's been a long time.
But they're headlining Saturday, and then you have Future X and Metro Boomin. I never heard of them on Saturday.
Man, I definitely don't know what the hell these people are because you kept saying SZA, and I'm here in my head. Yeah. I'm here thinking it's some dude, and it's a chick.
It's a chick. That's probably if there was any day you were gonna go, because you got SZA on Friday, you got Galantis is decent because they put on a pretty good show.
She's not bad looking.
Outside of that, yeah, big time. I'd say she'll probably be on there for like 1 or 2 songs and then she's done. But she's the headliner, so I can only imagine. So Zed, Galantis, but outside of that, I've never heard of any of these other
people. So Saturday you got the Deftones, but the Deftones are what? They're probably collecting Social Security checks by now.
They're definitely on Medicaid there. They're trying to cash in.
They're probably already deaf from after all these years. I mean, are the kids really gonna know who the Deftones were? I mean, don't get me wrong, they were awesome. I wasn't like a huge fan, but they were cool.
Who's going on Saturday and it says I need to? I paid $500 to see him. Sam Nelson. Like, dude, that name alone sucks. Sam Nelson.
Let's see. Let's look it up.
Is he the? Is he a guitar solo? Will Lindley.
Okay, so I don't know who he is. Well, I got so many pictures of like different guys.
And then Skrillex is on Saturday night too.
Singer. Oh,
I would have probably put Skrillex on Saturday as the main headline, not the Killers. I'd put Skrillex, and then pair him up with the Killers at that.
Yeah, they could come up with like some good stuff together if they wanted to. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Sunday. Sunday, I mean, other than Blink 182, but again, those guys. I mean, I can't remember the last time they were together, but
right.
Who
is Melanie Martinez? Never heard of him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I would not pay for this. I would not pay for this. Look, unless I could see this from like a rooftop and just sit there for free, I wouldn't pay for this.
Go right to the lake.
But again, again, it could be that we're just old and we don't know who this is. But I mean, again, I'm looking at this lineup from back in '94. Now, this was a freaking concert that you want 4 days for. Bro, I remember I wanted to go. I remember that year I was hoping to go to Woodstock, even though my card wasn't gonna make it. I was thinking about it,
Right.
but I had to be in class. And actually, I'm glad I didn't because I still remember it was a muddy mess. And
Right.
uh, but oh my god, yeah, dude. I don't know.
Super
I don't know.
pass. Super pass. That's a pass for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I would not. I mean, I'm looking at these things and it's like I don't see this as being worth that price. Like, and again, just like I guess when I was a kid, I didn't mind crowds too much, but now
Right.
it's like I don't, unless
Oof.
it's something awesome, I don't want to deal with it, right?
Right.
I used to love going to the Winter Music Conference in Chicago. I mean, I'm sorry, in
Right.
Miami. Those are awesome because it's just like electronic music. I remember the first two were down at the actual South Beach themselves, man. Those were what a time to be a kid in Miami. Oh my God, that was the
No
best
doubt.
time.
No doubt.
Dang it. That's why I'm trying to go back, bro. Like right now, the plan is to go back to Miami. I'm just like looking back and I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, I need to, like, I told my friends, I'm like, look, yo, I'm working on this. I'm trying to see if I can get back to Miami. I'm like, because
Right.
if right now I'm in between jobs, I'm going to start searching for jobs out there. Um, because there's no sales tax here. I mean, there's no income tax here. There's no income tax there. Yes, Miami's a little bit more expensive, but at this point, dude, I just rather be where I enjoy living, right?
Right.
Um, the only like I guess the only like variable would be if something kicks out of Las Vegas or like say the Buffalo area where I'll say, okay, I want to go back to Miami, but those places are a lot cheaper to live. I'll
Right.
suck it up. I'll live there. But right now, man, I need to go back to 305. You know, I'll drop the 312 and switch over to 305 again.
You walk into AT&T, I'm porting my numbers out and
No,
yeah,
I
and
love my
then and
Chicago
now the
number.
number changed.
I love my
Wow.
number. Don't get me wrong. But the first thing I would do is get my old telephone number in Miami because it's
Right.
available. But here's the
Is it?
thing: it's available. But the thing is, I I've called AT&T to pull that number. I've called all the carriers. Nobody can pull that number because it was an old landline number. So that
Ah,
number is reserved for a landline. So I'm thinking I might go there, use my old address, try and get that landline number on an
right.
account, and then just pull that number from the account so I can
Right.
keep it. So at some point, you'll probably see me with a 305 number because that number. And here's the thing: when I look that number online, it's still under my mom's name. Like it shows
Really?
as her. Yeah, there's another person that I guess got that number after
Right.
us, but I guess they only had it for such a short period that when I do the number search, usually it's us. Like we're the ones that show
Okay.
up as being the owners. Bro, like we left Miami like when was the last time I left Miami? What, 2002. So, we're talking about 22 years ago. I might get
Right.
that number back. I might get that number back. I'll start calling all the old girl. No, I'm not gonna call the old girlfriends from that number.
Oh
Hey,
boy,
it's me
yeah, no.
again. And then I'll realize, wait a minute, you old. No, 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 we can't have that.
All right. Three if it's a 305 calls me or texts me, I know it's you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But first we gotta wait until I can get back to
Miami.
305. Yeah, I need to get back to bro. Like I'm telling, bro. Like today. Um, well, I know we're just shooting our shot here as far as like random things. We were talking about Lollapalooza, so I guess we could kind of like call it a day now, and then we could talk a
Yeah,
little bit later. I don't want to
no
keep
doubt.
people watching, and they're like, "Yo, these guys are just talking like stupid crap." It's like it's over an hour now, right, for the podcast. Alrighty, guys. So we're gonna stop randomly talking garbage right now. Um, so we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully, we made you laugh at least these 15 minutes. For the two people that thankfully subscribe to our channel, if you guys actually like the little banter that we have at the end, let us know and we'll continue doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, watching YouTube shouldn't be serious all the time. We shouldn't want you to be angry. it's like have fun and smile and whatnot.
Right.
But that's it for me. Steve, go ahead, sign us off, man.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Spend some time with the family, friends. July is almost. What are we on the? We're about midway through, a little bit
19th.
over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If Biden steps down, man, I'd be surprised. But hey, it is what it is. But enjoy your weekend with the family, friends. Roger, you do the same. Peace out.
All right. See you guys.